What it do? Welcome to the J-Boy Sports Podcast. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. If you don't, you can still do those things because you know what? You could always help a brother out, and I would definitely help you out. Make sure you comment because I love to have conversations in the comments section, as I love to reply because ball is life. Love to talk about sports. On top of that, please make sure you hit that notification bell so that you do not miss any of our videos. We are now into round 2 fight of the Robert Snow Bunny Griffin III versus Ryan Black Power Clark. And essentially, this is going to be interesting because in round 1, honestly, I decided that neither one of them deserved the victory because I just thought it was a lot of nonsense. On both sides, it was just nonsense, things that didn't make sense to me. So I gave it to Fred Taylor, the only person who kept it where it should have been the first time, in my honest opinion. The only person not trying to get a hot take, the only person that gave his honest opinion and just, kept it on the floor. Like, supposedly, these two dudes, Snow Bunny and Black Power, said that they were going to do, even though I disagree. So now we're going to finalize this. We're going to do round 2 and see if we can get a knockout round. And essentially, this is going to be Robert Griffin III responding because he feels like his wife and his family was attacked. Now, I've seen a lot of support for both ways. I've seen people that say Robert Griffin's, his Snow Bunny and she was attacked. And I see people that say, oh, he didn't say nothing about his wife. And I don't buy that he said nothing about his wife. At the end of round 1, Ryan Black Power Clark mentions that, microaggressions. To me, that whole speech was a passive-aggressive microaggression that he started with. And now, in this clip, we're going to hear what Robert Snow Bunny Griffin has to say in response. And I don't know. I just, both of these two need to be doing Broadway with full ensembles behind them because it's just comedy. It's not comedy. None of it's funny. It's just theater. Both of these two can talk. My goodness. Can they can tell a whole story. They go around mountains, over the river, through the woods. To grandmother's house they go. They just go around and around and around. My goodness. And it just looks like they're both just it's just theatrics. So there's some truth in things that both of them say, but it's just theatrics. So what we're going to check out here today is we're going to let Robert Snow Bunny, we're going to let the Snow Bunny say his response and, in protection of his family. And then we're going to let Black Power give his reply and apology, I guess. And then we're going to unleash some new evidence that makes this a little bit more interesting. And then hopefully we'll be able to figure out who won this versus. Let's dig into what Robert Snow Bunny Griffin III says.
Don't bring my wife and my kids and my family and my home into something because you're trying to prove a point. Because if you need to cross that line and attack the person, then you've already lost. You've already lost whatever it is that you think that you're trying to win. Ryan Clark said, I don't understand the struggles of black women because my wife is white. That is so wrong, way out of bounds. He suggested that I don't value my own wife, the one that I'm building a family with, the one that I protect, the one that I love and cherish, but that I only value her because her skin is white. That is so wrong and way out of bounds. Ryan Clark implied that he, a man that has never sat down at our dinner table, he implied that he knows my wife and values my wife and knows my marriage better than I know my own marriage. That is so wrong and way out of bounds. He claimed that I'm not having conversations in my own home about the struggles that black women have faced in this country because my wife is white.
So I'm gonna stop there for 1 second because this boy can go. You know what I mean? He can continue to talk and talk and talk. So first off, just off the jump, my first impressions of this is like, and I cut it up, and I'm not gonna go over the whole thing because it was long. You know, Snow Bunny and Black Power can go forever. But I cut this up, and so he starts off by saying, you know, you're attacking my wife. Attack is a strong word, very strong. And he said that, you know, you're implying that because my wife is white, we don't have conversations about struggles that black women go through. I mean, I'm not mad at Ryan Clark for thinking that. I think saying it out loud was unnecessary. But for thinking that, I don't hate it. I mean, if you're Snow Bunny, why would you be going over those conversations in your home like that? Unless, you know, he's going to talk about his mother and his sisters and his daughters being half black. So, fine. Maybe you do talk about that. I can give you that. That's fine. But he mentioned attack, and he's saying you're so low for that. And it's almost like you're the teacher scolding the student at this point. And I just want to point out, in general, this is why sometimes people feel like Snow Bunny is corny, is because, like, bro, like, just say what you have to say with your chest. You could have easily just summed this up in 3 sentences. I don't like you talking about my family. You shouldn't have said nothing about my wife. You know, this has nothing to do with color. My wife's color has nothing to do with anything. You know, he could have even been like, yo, you have a problem with white women? Are you racist? I would have been more comfortable with that than him. It's like he's trying to shame him in public, like you're his dad. So I don't know. Robert Griffin is a different dude. Let's continue.
Not to mention that we also raise black daughters. That I have a black mom, 2 black sisters, black aunties, black cousins, a black niece. That makes 0 sense. He claimed that I want to appeal to a certain audience. So because he doesn't agree with what I said, and maybe somebody over there said something similar that he doesn't agree with or that he doesn't align with politically or personally, because I said what I said, didn't tie it to what they said, now I want to appease to a certain audience. That's so wrong and way out of bounds. The only audience I'm focused on is the audience of one. I'm trying to please God. I'm trying to wake up every single day and try to get better for my family. I'm not trying to please man. But why is that even in question just because he disagrees with my sports take?
So I have to admit, this is probably the most cooking that he's done since we started this versus battle. He's right. You know what I mean? Like, he has black people in his family, black women in his family that, you know, he's got to be accountable for. Your mother, your sisters, his daughters are half black. So, you know, there's some truth to that. He definitely has to have some type of conversations. I'm sure of it. And even before he got married, I'm sure he had conversations. If you're living with black women, there's no way you're not going to have those conversations. It's impossible. You know what I mean? And his wife, fortunately or unfortunately, will be dragged into that because you have at least two, the way you're saying it, black daughters. And she's around the black women in his family. So you're going to be, when in Rome, you will be pulled in. It is what it is. Respond carefully, though. All right, that was a joke. But I'm also a little serious, you know, just being honest with you. So I'm going to, and then he tops that off by saying, you know, I'm only really here for the audience of one, which is God, which I'm thank you, sir. I'm not going to be mad at anybody that says I'm not here to please man. I'm not. None of us should be. So I'm going to give you some points there, Snow Bunny.
Seem like you are supporting black women. You don't have to tear down a black man to support black women. You don't have to tear down anybody to support someone. I didn't make it personal with Angel Reese. I didn't drag her family. I didn't question her soul. My opinion was based off of basketball. And I don't think it's a problem that she hates Caitlin Clark. I think it's great for the WNBA. It creates a rivalry. And guess what? I said all those things.
So again, I'm going to have to say right here, Snow Bunny's kind of cooking again. Like, you know, you don't have to knock down a gender or a race in order to raise up another whatever. I mean, that type of talk in general is annoying to me, if I'm being honest with you guys. I just, it's like a weird code that we're talking in at this point that's unnecessary and I don't feel like getting into, but he is telling the truth. You shouldn't have to knock down anyone else to raise anyone else up. That is true. That is definitely true. So let's continue.
Ryan Clark personally attacking me and my family because he disagreed with my sports opinion is a bad look for ESPN. It's cowardly, it's spineless, and it's weak. Ryan Clark personally attacking me and my family, personally because he disagreed with my sports opinion, is a bad look for him as a man. I hope you get the help you need, brother.
So basically at the end of this, he mentions the word attacking again. I don't like that type of language because I don't feel like, you know, Black Power really attacked your family, like not hardcore. He just said he just was a hypocrite and used microaggressions against you the way he claims that you do, or people like you do, you know. And that's how I take that. He mentioned that, you know, it's low of you and I hope you get the help you need. Very passive aggressive. I don't like that type of behavior from men. I think men should say things with their chest. I hope you get the help you need. I don't care if you get the help you need. If I feel like you went at my family, I don't care if you ever get the help you need. The help you need is not my concern at that point. I'm more concerned with the fact that you were saying something against my family. And so you're going to learn either way. So help or no help. I don't really care at that point. It's going to move into a different realm. You know what I mean? And Robert, again, this thing was long. I broke it up. He just kept going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny, trying to hold some level of moral high ground, which is fine. I understand people try to hold the moral high ground, but he used the word attack like 47 times. I felt like he could have said everything much faster, but he seems like a theatrical type person. Like he went to school for drama before he became a great football player for like a season. Like, dude just went on and on and on, just doing too much. And I think that's why people look at Robert Snow Bunny Griffin III, and sometimes, you know, they give him a bad rep and they're hard on him. And they, you know, and then, like I said, he's married to a snow bunny. So dudes look at that as a reason why, unfortunately, you know, they take shots at him. So I don't think Snow Bunny is a bad person, but his ways are different. He speaks differently, and he just kind of, I don't know, he does a lot of things I personally wouldn't do. But for now, I'm gonna give him an edge here because he said a lot of things that are true. Let's listen to what Black Power had to say in response to that as an apology.
Greta Griffin, let me say this before getting into reasoning, before getting into thought process. She should not have been brought up in me trying to make a point about how having Black women close to you and the things that you learn from them can help you in the way that you approach and speak to and about them. She didn't need to be the illustration of that. I could speak positively about what they are without making the insinuation that it's something that non-Black women don't do well. I'm doing the exact same thing, or it may have seemed that I did the exact same thing to her that I'm trying to keep people from doing to Black women. My thought process was, in seeing certain clips on my algorithm, on my timeline, they do a podcast together. In that podcast, they talk very openly about not being Black enough. They talk very openly about biracial kids, what it's like to not be accepted in the black community. They very rarely talk about black women. In the video that RG3 posted that I felt like mocked Angel Reese, she was in the background. Did I love the optics of RG3, a black man, attacking and imitating, and what I felt insulting, mocking a black woman as his wife was in the background, almost seemingly as a prop of, and this is my feeling, of what was good, amening, nodding along, and applauding what I felt like was a personal attack. I didn't. But that doesn't mean because I have that feeling about what you do to someone else that I can do that to you. So, to Greta, I was out of line. I was out of bounds. I apologize. To all of the people that don't like RG's take or takes or the way that he moves, or even if you just in this conversation take my side and want to support me, leave his family alone. It doesn't take a daily attack on his wife, on his children, to remind him that you think his take, his takes, or whatever it is the wrong thing to you. Families should be off limits. I started that by bringing her into it. I see that now. No matter what my intent was, the impact was different. If I had to do it all over again, I would do it a different way.
Hold up, limitless, take a stomach cap, pinning it. I fought the head to witness it.
So that was Black Power apologizing to Snow Bunny. So again, just the long drawn out theatrics. Honestly, both of these dudes make my head hurt. And after doing this level of research, this is why I don't listen to either one of them. And I don't think you should either. But if you do, be my guest. I can deal with Ryan Clark, aka Black Power, around Fred Taylor and Crowder sometimes because I like Crowder and I like Fred Taylor. But Ryan Clark, it's not that I dislike him. It's just, what are you talking about? And then Griffin the third too. These two guys just keep talking. Who? Boy, it's just crazy. I don't know how to like. There was an In Living Color skit where Damon Wayans was a black man in jail and used to make up words. 1 fish, 2 fish, 3 fish, blue fish, like stuff like that. The economic geometry of tamatabatry equals equilibrium of the Erudius abgamentus. Like he would, and it was mad funny. And that's literally who this Black Power Ryan Clark guy is, man. To me, all this talking. And then Griffin is trying to be cool, and he's not that cool, to be honest with you. So I'm listening to both of these guys, and it's just, they're putting on a show. Your wife wasn't attacked. Should he have mentioned your wife? Absolutely not. I give you that. I'll give White Power that. I'll give him that. But at the end of the day, attacked is a strong word, and I don't think it hurt you that much as you made it sound. Robert Snow Bunny Griffin III. I don't think it hurt you that much. I hope it didn't. I hope you're not that sensitive. But, he used it, in my opinion, to milk it as a way to get Black Power Clark to, acquiesce and apologize. And he got the apology out of him. So you got to give him a point for that. He got his apology. He forced him into an apology. Now, I don't think Black Power Clark gave this apology on his own. I know he does some work with ESPN. And he's had some issues before where people saying he's a race baiter. And I'm surprised he's still able to be on ESPN because people were actually really calling this out at one point. It became kind of a big deal because he's known for, like I said, with your powers combined, I am Captain Black Power. He looks for avenues and ways to get all the affinity, all the black all the colored all the colored infinity stones. He likes to get all of them and then snap whatever he feels is a racial thing into existence. That is Ryan Black Power Clark. Okay? And in this apology, it was just more of the same. So I can give Griffin III, the Snow Bunny, some credit. But I don't really give Black Power Clark any credit for this apology because I don't feel like he wanted to do it. I definitely don't think he wanted to do it. And even in the way he did it, it was so backhanded. Like, you know, he explained what his thought process was. Sometimes you guys are in there and you never talk about black women. So you're not even just talking about the you know, you're off, brother, sister. Like, you're off. You're off because Black Power Clark he's like watching Snow Bunny and coming to all these conclusions because of other podcast episodes that they do. And I don't follow Griffin III. I don't follow the Snow Bunny. But apparently, the way Black Power Clark made it sound is that, like, he's, you know, he always has his wife on there and they talk about a bunch of stuff. But they don't talk about what Black Power wants him to talk about. Snow Bunny talks about what he wants to talk about with his Snow Bunny. I don't follow either one of them, so I really don't know other than what's being said, guys. If you know in the comment section and you follow them, feel free. Let's talk about it. Tell me if I'm missing something. But these two, wild orangutan, flying squirrel, you know, honey badger, you know, anarchist, are crazy. They're both crazy. Listening to them. That's just how I feel. And, you know, he gives this backhanded compliment like, you know, I feel like you guys don't ever do this, and he's using his feelings and what he felt like he saw and why he felt the way he felt. Nobody cares, Black Power Clark. You're a grown man. You have a family also. What? Why are you listening to and following him around? Do you guys have some real beef behind closed doors? That's what it sounds like. And it just seems like you're grasping for straws, Black Power. Grasping for straws. We get it. Maybe you don't like Snow Bunny. Maybe Snow Bunny gets on your nerves. Snow Bunny gets on my nerves too. And I never had to work with him. So maybe he gets on your nerves. Fine. I got that. But you're reaching. And you bring the Black Power thing and you bring blackness into it. Leave us out of it. Leave the rest of us colored folk out of it. Leave me out of it. Why bring me into this? I didn't ask to be involved in your shenanigans, sir. I didn't ask to be involved. I don't want any involvement in this. And I'm sure my black mother and, you know, wife and nieces and, you know, aunts, grandmother and great aunts, great grandmother. I'm sure we don't want none of that. We didn't ask to be involved in this, man. We didn't ask to be involved in this. And not every black woman cares about the WNBA either, sir. The ones I know like housewife shows. You know, Atlanta Housewives or something like that. They're not watching the W like that. You know, I'm just saying. So, you know, getting offended and doing all this extra tap dancing, both you, is just outrageous. So ultimately, here's the cherry on top. I'm leaning towards Griffin, Snow Bunny III, because even within these long speeches and Broadway performances, he's right. And he didn't technically lead you directly to where you ended up being, Black Power. You just saw an inch and took a mile, man, and just ran off with your thoughts and let them all go. And that's why you shouldn't do that. You should slow down. And you were very hypocritical talking about microaggressions, and you literally that's what you did to him. There was nothing so blatant that he said that led you to make this a racial issue. I'm sorry, nothing. So you use microaggressions to make more microaggressions against this man's wife, and I guess against his daughters and his mother and sisters and stuff. claiming that he doesn't have black girl conversations. Whatever. I mean, I know what that is, and I've had them, and I understand that, but I just don't think it was needed here. And here's the kicker on top of all of this, guys, and this is why I think we're going to have to call Robert Snow Bunny Griffin III the winner by default here. And it's because Ryan Clark is basically a giant hypocrite, man. You went off running as fast as you could. Like you were going to be the savior for all black women and free all the black women that have ever had any issues with anything. You were going to be the savior, their leader, their conqueror, Conan, their barbarian. But at home, you have a half-white daughter. Your first baby mama is white. Now, is that a problem? No, it's not. But you just attacked, in his words, Robert Snow Bunny Griffin III about his white wife and his previous white wife and his children, right? Who are all white. But you got one of those too. Oh, you got one of those too. So cute. Wow, that's great. Yeah. White Chicks, great movie. Very funny. Yeah. You got one of those too, man. So, you're getting on Snow Bunny when you got your own Snow Bunny. Or had your own Snow Bunny. And yes, you still have one because one is your daughter. Half Snow Bunny. Which, again, is fine. I don't want anybody to listen to any of these last two. This Snow Bunny versus Black Power. I don't want anybody to listen to these and feel like I have anything negative to say about anybody's race. I don't. But I use this satire to explain how dumb these conversations are. They're dumb. They're pointless. You got two men going back and forth over a foul because a black woman got fouled by a white woman in a basketball game. The next time I foul a white guy at LA Fitness, I hope somebody can turn it into this. Just for the heck of it. It'd be interesting to see. It would deserve an Oscar. Definitely. Definitely deserve an Oscar. These guys are wildin'. Okay? They're wildin' out of control. And they need to be stopped. But specifically, Black Power, you're doing too much. You're doing too much. You have a half-white daughter, and you have a white baby mama. So why in the world are you going at Snow Bunny so hard over something you yourself have? And you turn everything into race when you have had relations with a white woman, which is fine. I wish you were married when you did it. Me personally. God first. Snow Bunny got that right. You know? And you have a half-white daughter, which is fine. But then why are you doing all this? Black Power, why are you saying all this stuff? Why are you... Every time I turn around, you're talking about Black Power this, Black Power that. Look at this. Look at this clip here, guys. Look at this. Look at what I found on the internet here. These are pictures of Black Power with his daughter. This is her as a little girl. This is her now. Now, I'll say two things for this. One, Black Power has taken care of himself. Respect, my brother. Black don't crack. That's good to see. Two, his daughter is beautiful. She's a beautiful girl. So why is it that every 5 seconds, this man can't wait to make everything about race? You have a half-white daughter. I can't imagine that she doesn't sit there sometimes and be like, Dad, does my daddy have a problem with me? That's what comes to my mind. So, all in all, if you manage to stick around for these last two, I know this was long and drawn out, but this is something that, in my opinion, only you have to be somebody like me to be able to go through all of this and come to the conclusions that I come to and really take your time with it. Everybody's talking about this, but nobody's talking about it from the view that it should be talked about, of what these two madmen are really getting themselves into. But specifically, I'm going to give Snow Bunny, Robert Snow Bunny Griffin III, the win. He's going to get the W here. Because it doesn't make sense to me where Ryan Black Power Clark is going with this. They're both a little bit goofy. That's just the fact of it. But there is more truth on Griffin III's side. And there's more ridiculousness. They're both ridiculous, but there's more ridiculousness on the side of Ryan Clark. Because you're doing, it's not just this. He does it all the time. And you have a half-white daughter. There's a meme with this comedian named Tony Baker. Tony upsets me because I feel like he does a little too much. I don't like to be political, and I feel like he's gone a little too political. But he is funny. I'll give him that. He is funny. I'll pray for him. But he has this thing where he has on this wig, and he's like, I never knew. And that's how I feel when I found out about this man's daughter. He talks like there's no way that this could be real. But here she is, very beautiful girl. Hope she's doing well. And he talks like that's not a thing. Excuse me. That she's not. Respectfully, she's not a thing. So I'm gonna this has been long. I'm tired. I'm gonna give it to Robert Snow Bunny Griffin III. But I'm gonna give some advice. All right, Snow Bunny. I don't know why your wife has to be in every video. Maybe not the next one where you're doing something like this. I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't freaking know. But obviously you see some black men have a problem with it. And if you care, or black women, if you care, maybe do it differently if you're going to talk. Maybe at least if you're going to talk about Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. All right, maybe. And Ryan Black Power Clark, cut it out, man. Just relax. Enjoy your life. Stop looking at microaggressions and trying to save and be the hero of every part of every race of the black people. Just be yourself, man. Have a good time. Relax. Smile. This is a nice picture of you and your daughter. Just be that guy more often. Just geez Louise. You made it already. You got money. Just relax, man. Chill out. Jeez. Chill out. Just chill out. So, those are really my final thoughts. We're going to give it to winner, chicken dinner. We're going to give it to Griffin, Snow Bunny Griffin III. And ultimately, one more bit of advice. This WNBA stuff is making people nuts. And that's why I don't really follow it. That's part of the reason why. I don't care. All right? At the end of the day, Caitlin Clark is a better basketball player than Angel Reese. Much better. Sorry. That's just the truth of it. They came in at the same time. Angel Reese managed to win and have a big game in college. That's great. But in the W, one clearly stands over the top of the other. That's just how it is. If that bothers you so much that you have to make excuses for race, then that's an internal problem. And in the words of Robert Griffin III, I hope you get some help, because that's seriously an issue. Stop looking at it from the lens of race. It's two players playing. If it turns into all this, it's unnecessary. But like Fred Taylor, the guy that really should have won all of this if he was invited into this versus battle, like he said, these two women having a battle is good for their league. It's good for that. It adds some fuel to that fire. And yes, Robert Snow Bunny Griffin III, he mentioned that he does think it's good for them. And it is. But for the rest of us, relax. Cut it out. So with that said, please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Make sure that you comment, because there's a lot to comment about in this video. If you're able to watch the whole thing, and even if you only watch snippets of it, there's still so much you could comment on about what I said. Am I out of bounds? Am I in bounds? Am I off bounds? And listen, it's going to sound like I'm using race a lot, but it's really satire because it just sounds ridiculous. All this racial stuff, it just sounds ridiculous to me. Over a foul. You know, there are real people going through real persecution out there. This is not it. I'm sorry. The black girl and the white girl are both millionaires. They're not struggling. So why do we make it seem like one of them is or one of them isn't or whatever? They good. So, you know, let's calm down. Let's relax. All right? Make sure that you hit the notifications bell so that you don't miss any of our content. Also, hold on after this video because there's some other suggested videos that we know you will love. I appreciate your time. I really appreciate it if you were able to stick through this video. This is a different type of thing. You don't hear stuff like this from a lot of people. But I'm different. And this is the type of content that I feel is necessary, so I'm going to do it. Whether it gets likes or not, whether it gets views or not, hopefully one day somebody will respect this. I appreciate you very much. I'm very humble. Much love.
That somehow you never get over leaving me.